Okay, I started it.
Megan just made me eat a dry noodle.
You'll be lucky I'm following through for you, fam, because if we're calling this resolutions and rotini, we need to eat a rotini noodle, at least one.
That was horrible.
It's not a mealtime, but I was like, we're going to eat this noodle here. Anyway,
hello and welcome back to M&K Unscripted.
And happy 2025.
Yeah, we're not recording it in 2025, but
wait a minute. What day is this going to get released?
It'll be 2025.
The first, right?
No.
The second? Yes, the second.
Yeah.
Happy January 2nd. I'm
so
definitely not sitting in front of a calendar.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy. I mean, it's not 2025 yet when we're recording this, but...
No, but that'll be...
It's so near.
Isn't that crazy? We're talking about the future.
We are.
And they're going to be listening to it in the future.
That's cool. Literally every single podcast.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Like that. Okay.
But I mean, like, this is like... Okay,
Next year.
Next year. Ooh. It's a literal... Okay. It's not that deep. I can't believe I just ate a dry noodle. That was not good.
I assume you prefer cooked noodles.
I do. I would say I would prefer a cooked noodle.
I don't think I've ever eaten a dry noodle.
I have.
Except for right now.
I've eaten like dry spaghetti. Or like... I feel like I've eaten like an elbow macaroni noodle.
Just a singular elbow macaroni?
Yeah, because I was just curious. I just wanted to know. I don't know.
She was just curious.
I don't think I've ever eaten a dry rotini noodle, though.
What's your favorite noodle? Cooked, obviously.
What is it? Penne? Is that a noodle?
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about? I like that. Oh, it's time to be real, but I'm not going to be real. I'm going to be fake. Anyways. Yeah. I like a penne noodle. I love me some elbow macaroni. Like, that is a classic.
You are a macaroni fan. I am. I will attest to that.
But yeah, those are probably my top two. Very basic, but
that's fair. Honestly, I think I'd pick rotini as my favorite.
It's pretty good.
I cooked better.
Like, cooked, yeah.
Cooked is better. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could still kind of taste it, and I'm a little bit like, it's not like it tastes bad. It's just like, why did I do that? I don't know.
Really like that. That was like a really crunchy chip that
made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we committed for you. So
we really did. That shows how much we ate dry noodles for you.
Yes, we don't lie about this.
Even though you didn't ask us to do that for you, we did it anyways. It's giving acts of service
because we care so much. Trying to be more honest and follow through in the new year.
Yes, we're trying to make resolutions.
That's an M&K resolution, which is a great segue into our topic today of resolutions, which is probably super fresh in the minds of anybody that makes resolutions.
Which is a decent amount of people.
Yeah. I got on this website. It's called coolestgadgets.com, talking about New Year's resolutions. And there are so many statistics. I'm overwhelmed and cannot share them all with you. But they definitely were talking about, like, the percentage of people that make New Year's resolutions. And, like, we're Gen Z. And it says that 92% of Gen Z are likely to set New Year's resolutions, compared to, like, 52% of baby boomers, which is interesting.
And I have a statistic to add on to that.
Ooh.
This is coming from Why Most New Year's Resolutions Fail from Richard Batts.
Ooh.
Published on February 2nd, 2023 for Giving the Receipts. And he says that researchers suggest that only 9% of Americans that make resolutions complete them. And 23% of people quit their resolution by the end of the first week, and 43% quit by the end of January.
I'm looking at those exact same statistics, actually, on this website, too. And it said it's from Ohio State University on this website.
Okay, well, slay.
So, yeah.
So that really I feel like that kind of starts off our conversation about, okay, so a lot of people make resolutions. We've established that. And not that many people actually complete them. So maybe we could talk a little bit about why that is.
Why they don't complete them?
Yeah.
I feel like are we going to talk about... Are we talking about habits on this? I know I brought it up, like atomic habits.
We could.
Okay, well, I didn't prep that.
I didn't prep that either.
Okay, well, maybe we'll just... If it comes into conversation, that's fine. But I feel like my answer was going to be that. Like, I feel like to genuinely change something about your life, like, you need to form habits in your life that will... like make small changes in a way that are actually like sustainable and can be consistent in your life. And I feel like a lot of people we're going to go through some of like the most common New Year's resolutions for people. And like even looking at this list, like some of these things are just like really general, which I feel like could also be a problem. Where you don't have like a SMART goal, you could say. If you've heard that term before, it's like actually making a very detailed plan of like how I'm going to change this in my life and like the actual actions I'm going to do versus just like having a nice concept of an idea that you think could improve your life, but not actually doing anything to change your life.
Yeah. I actually have some of the things that you've said, like I have actual evidence for that. Like in this article about why most people fail their
Oh,
resolutions.
yeah, go ahead.
There are 4 different reasons that Richard Batts outlines. That noodle's really still in. Oh,
Girl, get some water.
sorry. Okay, the first one is that goals should start at a time of change or need for change. So some resolutions are set because it's like tradition to set them, and like it needs to be appropriate for the time that you're setting it in. Like if you're not to the point where you're like ready to have this resolution or like actually execute it, like that's one of the reasons that people fail. Another of the reasons is people don't expect obstacles. Like there are going to be obstacles to your resolutions. And if you're not anticipating them and not setting like expectations for what you're going to do if those obstacles arise, then you're going to fail.
Do you think we should start talking about like some of the most common resolutions and then we can like incorporate them into this conversation? Or do you want to share your list first and then I share my list?
Well, we could talk about the other 2 ones real quick and then talk about the resolutions.
Okay.
The third one is well, it says to set goals into challenging, measured, but smaller chunks. So people will just like be like, I want to do this, and then not like separate how they're actually going to do it in like smaller, attainable goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last reason is people aren't accountable. So they lack accountability. They don't actually follow through on the goals that they set. Like they have big dreams and they don't actually take action. Which like all those things are very real. Like that's definitely been the situation that I've had in my life when I try to set New Year's resolutions. So go ahead.
Should I go close the door? Is the fan?
It's probably fine because we have the microphones.
Okay. A fan just turned on in our apartment. Now we're looking at each other to figure out if we should close the door.
It's an automatic fan. Oh my gosh, I could rant.
I'm gonna go close it.
Megan's gonna close it. She put the microphone down, so I'm just gonna actually keep you guys entertained in the meantime because this is unscripted. And now she's running.
Okay, I'm back.
She's back.
Okay. Did you share all 4 of your
points?
Yes,
those are all 4.
Okay. Should I go through some of the
Yes,
most common?
Let's talk about the most common resolutions and maybe talk about how we could see people failing at them.
So I think this is from I got this graph on the same website as the one I quoted before, but the graph is actually from Statista.com. You've ever heard of that?
I have actually.
Okay. So apparently the number one resolution, 59% of people said that they want to save more money in the new year. Yeah, I feel like that's a good goal. I also feel like that really, I don't know, that relates when you said like there are going to be obstacles because obviously like if you feel like you need to save money, there's probably a reason you haven't been doing it so far. And so like you're probably going to need to look into that.
Yeah, and also like sometimes you just can't predict. Like you can't really predict what money you're going to have to spend. Like if there's an emergency or like a surgery or something random that you weren't expecting, or like a big car or something or other, like
right,
like you can budget for that, but sometimes you're not going to be able to expect whatever.
Right, which is why it's important to be consistently saving small amounts of money, so then when those things do happen, then they're not like a huge financial burden on you.
Yeah,
which I think we should do. I would love to do an entire podcast about like personal finance and finances.
That
That
sounds like the least desirable thing.
so maybe we could get a guest on and like me and that
Somebody
guest could
who
like
really
talk about
likes
it
it
because I
because
would love to I love talking about personal finance and money and I know Kelly does not, but
no, that
it's
does
very
not bring me a lot of joy, but I
I
know
think
it's
it's
something I need
fascinating.
to accomplish anyways. But going back to the money thing, I feel like it is common in America, especially like capitalism and like money being one of the things that like literally drives so much
Hmm.
in our lives. So like it makes sense that
And
that
debt
is, yeah,
for sure. Even like coming right out of college, like having college debt and then getting a job, but also like getting started with like a car and an apartment and like having to pay for all these things. Like life is really expensive. And I feel like I didn't realize how expensive life is until I'm on my own and I realize like how much money I should be saving so I can like afford things later in life.
yeah. Oh, it's a stressor.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's number one. Number two and number three kind of go together. So 50% and 47% of people said that they wanted to exercise more and to eat healthier in the new year. Which honestly, I definitely saw those happening, like being up there
Oh
and
yeah,
counting
that like tends to be the one that I'm always like, oh, I should do that.
for sure. The it's I'm looking at the whole list here and it's very similar, but like number 35% of people said they want to lose weight. I feel like those three kind of coordinate, like the exercising more, eating healthier, and losing weight.
Hmm.
Honestly, I kind of thought those would be number one because I feel like that's like the most common resolution that I hear about of people
Yeah.
like wanting to eat better and exercise and losing weight.
Is this just in America or is this the world?
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know.
Okay, I was just
If
curious.
I was to guess, I would guess the US. Oh, yes. Yep,
Okay,
United States.
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the culture is a lot of like talking about eating healthy and like exercise and like that and like obesity and like all those things in America is like those don't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I feel like um I have so much to say. I'm trying to figure out like what I should say and what I should not. But like I feel like a lot of people when starting the new year with a resolution of like I want to exercise more, they like going back to the reasons that people fail. I feel like it's often because they choose a form of exercise that is like either too intense for their lifestyle or like not consistent. Because I feel like consistent exercise needs to be enjoyable to some extent. And so I feel like it's just so different for so many people. Like, I go to the gym consistently. I absolutely loathe running. I never run. And so I get my exercise in different forms. And I feel like to some people like they think like I need to be like do the healthiest thing and like to them like they could see like running as like the most efficient form of exercise or whatever. And then just like trying to like go about it too quickly because if you
Mhm.
go from like 0 to 100 from like December 31st to January 1st, like yeah, of course you're going to fail. Like you are not like starting good habits. You're just trying to be so intense about like making change that it's not going to be consistent. And I feel like consistency is so much more important than like what you're actually doing when it comes to like physical fitness,
Mhm.
that it's just like an absolute game changer.
That reminds me, so Megan and I both read the book Atomic Habits that we referenced earlier.
Hmm.
And one thing I do remember off the top of my head, it was talking about building habits, and specifically, he who wrote it, the book, the guy,
I don't know.
the author, was talking about going to the gym as an example of like building a habit. Like, let's say you want to go to the gym more often, and it kind of seemed obvious once I read it, but I had never, bless you,
Sorry, thanks.
I never thought about it. But the author said that it was most important that you made it to the gym and like put on your gym shoes and put on your gym clothes and decided to go, even if like you weren't feeling the greatest. Like just the act of being in the gym is more important, like even if you're not going to be as successful as you might want to be, rather than just being like, you know what, I'm not feeling super great today, I'm just not feeling myself, I'm just not going to go at all. Like when you're building a habit, it's important to like at least make some sort of effort to put yourself in the space where you can do the habit, even if you're not actually doing it as well as you want to. And so I feel like that's like the motivation that I've found of like if I want to create a habit, like going to the gym or something, just like actually forcing yourself to put on your gym clothes and go, even if you're not going to be as successful as you might want to be.
Right. I just looked it up. The author is James Clear, and the book is called Atomic Habits, as you said
Yes.
before. But yeah, I would 100% agree with what you just said. Um, I feel like even if I'm on a day where like I'm super tired, I will still like I'm trying to condition myself to like go to the gym right after work. And so even if I don't like I'm tired or I don't like feel like being as active as I like would usually want to, like still just the habit of doing the thing is so much better than like, oh, I'm not going to be as efficient today, I just won't go at all. Because then next time you're going to be even less inclined to go, and then
Mm-hmm.
like that's how a habit dies.
Yeah. And who knows, like once you make it to the gym, you might actually do better than you thought you were going to.
Yeah. And like even just like sometimes I'm proud of myself for showing up, even if like there's been times I've like walked into the gym and I'm there 10 minutes and I leave because like I either like feel ill or like I'm just this is terrible today, so I'm gonna do a little bit and go. But like I'm still proud of myself for showing up, and I feel like that shows true discipline, which is
Mm-hmm.
also needed with like starting a new habit.
Oh, I love discipline. That is such a good word. Like I strive to have more discipline.
Hmm.
Not that I'm not a disciplined person, but like I wouldn't say that it like naturally is a strength. Like I mean, you have to be intentional about everything, but like
Yeah. But like I know there's always jokes about like the amount of people that are in the gym like in January, probably those first couple weeks when people are trying to
mhm.
like figure things out. And so I feel like sometimes people rush out of the gate a little too gung ho, and then something happens where either it's like not consistent in their schedule, or like if you exercise too hard the first couple days, your body will probably feel like it's dying because it hurts so much. And so like all those things
Mhm.
are super important.
Yeah, it goes back to why people fail. It's because they don't set goals that are in smaller chunks.
Yeah. I also think that eating healthier goes along with that too, because for so many people, like food is such a touchy like I don't know, people have like a difficult relationship with food. I feel like a lot of people like struggle with their relationship with food and seeing food in like a neutral way. Which is
Mhm.
something that I learned from my fat studies class, which I
Mhm.
referenced in a previous podcast. Just talking about how people feel guilt with eating quote unquote bad food. And that like that guilt like just like creates a whole cycle of like unhealthy eating patterns. And I feel like it's really important to like realize that all food has nutrients. They're just like different levels of nutrients, and like all food will fuel your body just in different ways. And so having guilt about like eating a dessert or something, that is not going to help you in the long run. I feel like it's
Mhm.
the patterns of like how you eat in general that are the things that will like make the difference in the long run. And so I feel like it's really important not to get stuck up on like one little thing that you're eating and more look at like general patterns.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when we're thinking about resolutions in general, like the smaller steps is kind of what has stuck with me too.
Yeah. And so even I don't know what am I trying to say? Even like changing something like every month or like every week, focusing on like a new thing and like having like a progression of New Year's resolution. I feel like
Mhm.
that could maybe even be helpful to have a more successful change if you actually want to see change. Because like I said, changing anything super drastically is just not going to be consistent. Especially like when it comes to eating like I don't know. I hate the word diet just because like diet like implies temporary restriction, but like your body is going to just go back to like the way it was before once you like are done with your diet, if you have like a certain amount of time that you're dieting. And also I could go into how diet like how bad dieting is for your body. It is so much worse for your body to like go through yo-yo cycles of dieting, which is like you diet and then you lose weight and then you stop dieting and you gain weight and then you go on a diet and you lose weight. It's like that pattern of like just really harsh treatment of your body, like it's worse for your body to do that than it is just to like leave some fat in your body if you think that that is like what you're trying to get rid of. So, yeah, I feel like um saying like you're going to go on a diet is, I'm not a fan of that. I feel like if you actually want to like change something about like your eating patterns, if you feel like you want to like include more like nutrient dense foods to your diet and like less calories and all those things, I feel like it's more important to like have a consistent lifestyle change instead of just like temporarily like trying to like lose a whole bunch of weight at once, because like really healthily, like, and I guess we can like transition to the losing weight one, like your body doesn't like healthily lose more than like 1 to 2 pounds a week. So if like any type of diet ever promises like you'll lose 30 pounds in 30 days, like that is gonna absolutely wreck your body. It's gonna wreck your metabolism, and it will like literally might ruin your metabolism for like the rest of your life, which can have such difficult health implications for your life. I remember I was riding on the, like at school, I was like listening to a radio and I was riding on a bus, and like it talked about like a diet, and it was literally like this was like on the radio for people to hear, and I had like just taken this class and it said like you can lose up to 30 pounds in 30 days, and I was like, people don't realize like how dangerous that is for your body, which is like really discouraging if you want to like have this idea that you're going to like lose a bunch of weight at once. But I feel like the number on the scale is never necessarily the problem. I feel like it's so much more important to look at like general health of a person versus like how much fat you have on your body and like what the number on the scale says.
Mhm.
And that's my mini rant, just part of it. Oh, I'd have so much to say. Okay, so number 4, I'm going to jump back up here. So the fourth most common New Year's resolution is to spend more time with family and friends. And that's 40% of people said that.
Mm. I could definitely see that because I feel like a lot of the times so much of our lives can be surrounded with like working or like ambition and like prioritizing like career and like trying to move up in the world, or like it, I guess it depends on your time of life, because if this also includes like college students, like you're so busy with trying to advance academically, like your focus is going to be more on academics or like your future or professional development, that you're not going to be like necessarily prioritizing family and friends. But I don't know, I feel like for me, like it's easier to prioritize friends right now because those are the people that are around me. Like I don't see my family as much as I see my friends because my family lives like they don't live with me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I definitely, that makes sense because like the people in your life matters like the most. Like that's what's most important. So I'm not surprised that that is on there.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I kind of realized this in college too, but I honestly thought I'd have more free time post college than I do. But also, I guess partly it's because I like schedule time to spend with friends and family. But like I thought
Hmm.
I'd just like have more time and then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I have plenty of time. I'll like go see my family more often or whatever." Um but now I realize like time is such a precious commodity, and like
Hmm.
we really have to figure out what we value so we can prioritize the things in our life that we want to give time to. Because if you
Yeah.
don't pay attention to it, like all of a sudden your time will be eaten up by things that you don't value.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like that's so important. Like your time,
Yeah.
like you just said.
Yeah, I feel like even like work, like we're both very lucky that like we kind of just have 9 to 5 Monday through Friday jobs that like are not super demanding outside of hours, so we have a chance to like be intentional and spend other time or like our extra time with other things. Like I know some people like don't have that option, and work is like work eats up so much of their time because it's just like a necessity, or they allow it to, because I know it's like some people that I work with like also spend a lot of time at work, and I'm like, dang, that's like crazy. Cuz also they don't have more time than I do, and I'm like, how do you get everything done in your life?
Yeah, I think sometimes like dependent on your job, like you can like your job is your friends and family, not actually your family, but like people spend so much time at their job that those are the people that they're like most often seeing and like spending time with.
Hmm.
So, yeah, honestly, I feel like my life isn't that busy. Like, I'm just making it busy because I'm so social.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be busy besides like the work, which is like 40 hours a week, which is not that crazy for like, if you think about a lot of people. Like, I know people that work like 65 to 70 hours a week, 80 hours sometimes.
That is crazy.
But like, that's just normal. It just depends on your profession and like what you're doing with your life.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. And I sleep a lot. So I feel like between work and sleep, it feels like sometimes I don't have that much time, but sleep is the thing I prioritize sometimes.
mhm.
But yeah. Okay, so those were the top five that we already went through. Number six, the sixth most popular New Year's resolution is to reduce spendings on living expenses. That was 26%. I feel like that kind of goes along with saving money. I don't know if you
Yeah,
have
saving
anything.
money and
What?
reducing expenses, that's literally the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, number seven, spend less time on social media.
Mm,
Ooh.
that's a real one.
Mm-hmm.
I know so many people are like, man, I do the doom scroll too much. I'm just because it's addicting. Like I was a comm major, so like I know a little bit about the addiction of social media. Like it's hard to stop and like it takes up so much time. We were just talking about time. Like if you think about it, like if you check how much time you're using social media, you could be doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. That's a choice that you're making and like that I'm making too to like spend time on social media. Like, do I need to watch Instagram Reels every day? No. That doesn't like actually bring me a lot of joy. Like sometimes it does because then I'll just like send it to my friends and it's like a social bonding experience and like we'll quote Instagram Reels all the time. Like it's just kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying Instagram Reels because I don't use TikTok. But
Yeah, I use both.
yeah, which is just insane to me.
Yeah, I think it's funny. My TikTok like time allowance will go off and then I'll just hop over to Instagram,
Yeah.
which is funny. But yeah, I feel like it's interesting because I feel like social media is like an addiction for so many people. But also like do I think I'm addicted to social media? No, but I do spend a lot of time on it. Like literally just a couple days ago, one of my friends was like, "Yeah, I don't think you." She was like, "You couldn't survive without social media," and I was like, "What do you even mean?" Like, of course I could, but then I was like, "Oh, actually, it is like I spend a lot of time on social media,
Hmm.
like in a day." Which going back to time, like when we were talking about spending time with friends and family, like that's just another thing that people use their time for. And in some ways, it's a waste. Like I do like to a certain extent, like social media makes me happy, but then I reach a point where I'm just like doom scrolling, like you said. And
Hmm.
so like at that point, it would be good to like turn it off, but usually I don't. Usually I just
Yeah.
keep the doom scrolling.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't even sometimes I'll be like, man, I don't have time to watch a movie, so I'll just go on Instagram for a little bit. And then I end up being on Instagram just as long as it would have taken to like watch a show or something. I'm like, why did I do that? Like I literally could have watched like 2 episodes of Friends, like and I'm
Mhm.
just on Instagram.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Okay. The next one on the list, to reduce stress on the job, which is
okay. Okay.
interesting.
That's a goal.
19% of people said that.
Can't relate, but just kidding.
Yeah. I
I feel like that like is sometimes in your control and sometimes not in your control, like dependent on your job.
Yeah. Even like maybe we could just expand that to just like stress in general to try to be less stressed, which I feel like that's a good goal for people to have because I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people are stressed.
Like self-care, like how do you take care of yourself so that you're less stressed?
Yeah.
Because like stress on the job could mean like literally on the job, or it could mean like what do you do outside of your job to make you less stressed when you're at your job?
Mhm. Yeah. I also feel like for stress in general, I think a lot of good ways that would reduce stress are some of the like more popular New Year's resolutions. So like physical fitness or like moving your body and eating healthy foods probably will make you less stressed. Like saving money if you are stressed financially, that would probably help. Like spending time with friends and family, like that reduces stress instead of just like working more. or
Mhm.
like stressing about things on your own.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, the next one, to improve my performance on the job, which is, we don't have to talk about the job again. That's fine. The next one is to quit smoking.
Really?
Yeah,
There are that many people.
18%. And I wonder if that's like smoking and vaping or just smoking. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because I feel like smoking is not as popular, or does not seem as cool like it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like more our generation like vapes instead of
Yeah.
smokes.
Or just like drinks. Like I'm thinking like alcohol is so much more common.
I think vape is just as common as smoking was.
No, but I'm saying like our really?
Yeah.
You think the same amount of people drink that vape?
No, I think the same amount of people that vape now is comparable to like many years ago when smoking was popular, the amount of people that smoked.
Yeah, it's probably just not as visible because like there are so many places that are like no smoking now. Like it's not seen as like
Right.
socially, like more people are gonna go out and like drink socially than they are gonna go and like vape socially.
Right. And like drinking's been a thing forever.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um the next one is to cut down on alcohol, which is
Oh, there we
funny.
go. I was
Yeah.
thinking that would be on there.
Yeah, that's 13%.
Dang.
Yeah. That's my whole list
Okay.
of all of
Those
these.
don't surprise me.
Yeah.
I I I'm surprised more people didn't say like get more sleep or like
Mm.
what else would I think that people would want to do? I don't know. Maybe people just
Find
don't
love.
find love. That's how do you do that on a New Year's resolution though?
I don't know, but also some of these like save money. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. In some ways, like all of these are like you have to put an effort to make it happen anyway.
Yeah. What?
Like you have to have steps of action to make these things happen.
Yes.
Same with like getting sleep and finding love. Like you have to take steps to make those happen. That was my point.
To a certain extent. I mean, finding love sometimes it just happens.
Well, yeah, but also like if you never leave your house, there's probably a less chance that you will find love.
You never know. Just kidding.
Who?
I kidding. I kidding. I kidding.
That's
Anyways, wouldn't that be easy though? If you could just like stay at home. Anyways, that's not part of it.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. Um, I also found an article. If my phone will load, my old phone here, it's janky. Which I am getting a new phone too soon for Christmas, I think.
Soon and
So
very soon.
actually, I'll have a new phone by the time you guys are listening to this. Fun fact.
That's
Anyways,
fun.
I found this article that is called 7 Strategies for Highly Effective New Year's Resolutions. And I feel like this could maybe help a little bit of if I know we're going to be releasing this after New Year's, but like if maybe you're reflecting on your New Year's resolutions and you're like, oh, I actually like didn't really think this through because like same that is usually how I do this. Like I just like write them down on December 31st and I'm like, all right, I'm going to change my whole life next year. And it's just like never happens because I don't actually set goals properly. So the first strategy is know your why. Like, why are you doing this? What is your motivation
Ooh.
for eating healthier or for exercising more or for quitting smoking or for quitting drinking or drinking less or whatever? Like, I feel like that makes sense because you're like, if you can find something that you're extremely motivated, like, I know some people will be like, I want to exercise more because I want to live longer so that I can be around when my grandkids are around. Or like if that motivates you a lot. Or I want to stop drinking as much because it makes me feel sick and doesn't make me feel like I'm a good person. Or like I want to journal more because I want to be able to process my emotions better. And like that's really important for me because I really want to be in a healthy relationship. Or like things, finding out why do you want to do this? I feel like in itself is a motivation to continue doing it because that is accountability is one of the reasons that people don't continue to do it is because they lose accountability.
Yeah, I feel like one of the most meaningful um like the more meaningful the reason why you want to do something, like the better chance that you'll actually want to. Like if you just have a really shallow reason for like wanting to do something, then I feel like there is less motivation for you to actually consistently do that thing.
Yeah, for sure. The second thing is be specific. So we were talking about that, like, oh, I want to exercise more. Okay, what does that mean?
Like when
Like,
will you be exercising?
when will you be exercising? How often will you be exercising? Where will you be exercising? Are you going to do it with someone? Are you going to do it by yourself? Like, what type of exercises are you going to do? Like, when you have a list of, like, this is what I want to do, it's a lot easier than just, like, having an overall goal. Um, Three is don't just think it, ink it. So, a Stanford University study found that when people wrote down their goal, it increased the probability of them achieving it by over 70%.
Ooh.
So, I feel like that's very, like, I can just say whatever I want, but if I'm not going to write it down, I feel like it doesn't have the same impact, you know?
Yeah. Do you write down your New Year's
I
resolutions?
do.
Have you thought about your New Year's resolutions yet? Granted, we are doing this before New Year's, so.
Yeah. Not really, but I kind of. I don't know. It's always like kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, I want to go to the gym more and I want to be a better person and I want to journal more or I want to pray more. Like those are kind of the things that I usually end up doing.
Mhm.
But I'm going to use this article and I'm going to say, all right, I'm not going to think it. I'm going to ink it. Like
Mm.
I'm going to write this down, you
Mhm.
know? Anyways.
Yeah, usually I find I do like a whole analysis when it comes to like the new year, cuz usually like around December 30th or 31st, I'll like make a whole list of what did I all do this year? What did I accomplish? Like what are the big things that happened in my life? I feel like reflecting on those, like seeing patterns. I'm such an analytical person. Like I'll look at all the
Mhm.
data, I'll analyze my patterns and I'll be like, all right, what were some good patterns? What were some bad patterns? Like what can I do to improve myself in the future? Like what are my goals? And then like I'll like usually write down some specific things. I also I've been doing this thing for the past couple of years where every 6 months I'll like write down predictions for my life. Um so I'll write them down June 1st and then January 1st, no, July 1st and January 1st. I don't know, whatever. But I think it's July.
Yeah, because July is the seventh
Okay,
month.
thanks. So like I'll write them down and then I'll forget about them until 6 months later, and then I'll open up the sheet of paper and be like, wow, like look what came true. And like that's been kind of fun to think like here's where I thought I was going to be in my life and like here's where I actually am, and that like
Mhm.
holds me accountable to like, oh yeah, this is what you were hoping for in your life and like here's what's actually happening. And then I feel like that helps me think forward to the future of like what do I want my life to look like.
Yeah, that's actually sounds like such a fun thing to do.
It is fun. I'm excited for January 1st so I can go look at my predictions.
Ugh. And
I'm
then you
so
can write new
curious.
ones.
For real.
Hmm. Number four is design your environment. So, okay, it says never underestimate the power of your environment to support or sabotage your success. So, if, okay, we're doing the exercise, if we keep going on the exercise train, like hiring a trainer or like getting an exercise buddy, like having explicit things in your environment that are setting you up for success. Or like, I don't know, this might be a stretch, but like going and buying new shoes to go work out in um could be another like motivation to get you excited to keep doing this stuff. Or like create a chart of where you're like what exercise you're going to do every day. That actually really helps me a lot. That's what I did most recently when I was like exercising more. Hello? My brother's calling me. He's gonna have to wait. Anyways, good thing I'm not recording on my phone. Um, yeah, I don't remember where I was going. But number five, narrow your efforts. And that is only take on one thing on January 1st.
Ooh.
Like, which honestly is so fair because so many times I'm like, I have 10 million things I want to change about myself. And I get so overwhelmed that I don't do any of them. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I should just focus on one.
Yeah.
Like, we can't be multitasking, especially if it's like a big undertaking.
Mhm.
You're just over here being like, I'm going to do all these things. And then realistically, you're not going to do them all. And so you're going to fail. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. I feel like lately I've been doing a lot of like journaling and self-reflection, and I have found that exact thing that like I've been seeing all these things of like here's what I can do better, this, and I'm like, okay, but if I could like all these all these goals and aspirations are nice, but if I could genuinely just change this one thing and it would actually change and be different, like that would be a game changer. And
Mm-hmm.
so like whatever that one thing is, like just focus on the one and actually do it instead of like listing five and not doing any of them or doing them like 50% or less than that. Like I feel like being able to do one thing efficiently is so much better than just having like a whole list and not doing anything.
And it's crazy how, like, one change in your life can impact so much else about your life.
Mhm.
Like, if your New Year's resolution is you want to sleep more, you sleep better. Like, that's just one thing. Like, it can be hard, but like, we all know sleep helps with your health, your mental health, your physical health, like how happy you're going to be. Like, if you're able to, I don't know, be your best self with your coworkers or with your family or like all those things, like that trickles into other areas of your life. Or like if you want to spend more time with your family or friends, like that helps with your mental health and that helps with your social life. Like, and that trickles into maybe you're less stressed at work now because you're with your family and friends more often. Like,
Mhm.
one thing, like, don't underestimate the power of one change.
Yeah, I feel like lately one of my goals has been to allow myself to feel emotions instead of just trying to like logically analyze them because I'm very much an analytical person and I'm really good at just like shoving my emotions deep inside, and so I never actually like process anything. And so I've really been focusing on that lately to like let myself feel the emotion. And at first, like I felt such panic when I was like, I'm feeling this negative emotion and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it. But like the whole point was just to sit with the negative emotion and like, how does this make me feel? Like, what am I feeling right now? And then just like sit with the emotion. And like I've been doing that for maybe like a month or two now. And like it's just so much easier now to like sit with my emotions. And I feel like I'm able to like process things in such a healthier way just because of that one thing I was trying to like work on. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like focusing on one thing at a time is like so big, and because if you can actually make a change with that one thing, like that can impact so many areas of your life.
Yeah. And then you can even think about, okay, I made this one change, like I can do another. Like once you like do one,
Mhm.
you get more motivated, you get inspired, and you're like, okay, like I can keep going. But that, like, if you end up having so many things you want to change, you don't do any of them, and then you're not motivated. You're like, okay, I actually can't change anything about myself, and then you get discouraged.
Mhm.
So I feel like one success is better than like a million failures.
Yeah.
Um, Number 6 is focus on the process. So, like, focusing on the act. Sorry, I was thinking. I was trying to figure out what they meant by focus on the process, but it's like focus on what you're doing right now that can help you make that change. Like, it's kind of like thinking about the smaller picture rather than the bigger picture of like,
Mhm.
okay, they use an example. If you want to become more fit, focus on being able to jog a little bit further every time you go on a walk rather than be able to run 5 miles within a week. Like, focus on like little things within the process that'll then help you reach the final goal.
It's giving progress over perfection, which I think
Mm,
is like so important going back to all of the New Year's resolutions we talked about. Like you will not immediately go from like doing something poorly to being perfect at it. And honestly, you may never reach perfection, but as long as like I feel like then that it's really important to like keep your eyes on your own bobber and like not compare your situation of whatever you are doing to somebody else's, because like sometimes it's so discouraging like in the gym. Like when you go to the gym and like you don't know what you're doing and you're struggling, and someone who has like someone's next to you on a treadmill and they're like running like crazy and you're like, why can't I be like that? But you have no idea. Maybe they have spent the last 3 New Years like working on this on themselves. And so you just have no idea where everybody else is in their journey. And so I
Mhm.
feel like the best thing that you can do for yourself is focus on your own progress and just make sure that you're moving in a good direction instead of striving for perfection right away. Because, of course, like the end goal is perfection, but like you can't get there without taking the little steps.
That kind of goes well into the last thing, and that is forgive your failures
Ooh.
because you're gonna fail. You're not gonna be successful all the time. You might have like 3 New Years where you're like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna run fast, and then you don't do it. And the only way that you're gonna get better is if you keep being persistent and understanding that failure is literally a part of the process. Like that is like if you don't fail, you're not challenging yourself enough.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're just like the coolest person in the entire world who just doesn't fail, but like that's not real.
Yeah. Failure is the marker of where you have to improve.
Hmm.
And so it's just like a stepping stone for you to like see where you're at and where you have
Yeah.
left to go.
And like people aren't a lot of the times are not going to be out here being like, "Oh my gosh, I failed." Like they're only going to show like on social media, they're only going to show the successes that they've had. Like they're not going to be over here being like, "Yeah, I failed at this. I didn't do this successfully." Like this is I mean, some people do, and that's I admire that, but a lot of people aren't going to. So when you're comparing yourself to other people, like remember that they're showing you only the cool parts of them or like the good parts. Like when I'm at the gym, I'm like, "Oh, this person is doing stuff so much better than me." But like I'm at the gym and like you don't know the failures that they've experienced. Like it took failures to get to the point of being successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally how you succeed is by failing in order to like what do they say like in the gym where you're like trying to lift weights like go until failure or what's the
Yep.
phrase?
Yeah, you're supposed to do reps until failure. And then next time your failure will be a little bit further or a
Mhm.
little bit heavier.
Lift till you fail. It's kind of the
Yep.
love how we're talking about the gym for like all of these things, but like your
Well,
New Year's resolution doesn't have to have anything to do with the
no,
gym.
it doesn't have to be any of the things on this list.
No, it can be whatever you're called to think you need to work on in your life.
Yeah, I haven't thought about my New Year's resolutions yet. I feel like 2024 was such a tumultuous year in like such a roller coaster of a way. Like January of 2024 is so different than where I am in December. And
Mm.
so I don't know, I feel like I'm going to do some reflecting after this podcast. Maybe not
Yeah,
immediately,
I'm
but
feeling inspired.
yeah, I feel like I want to go like now do my little analysis of like how 2024 went and what can I
Mm.
do for 2025.
Yeah, I feel like my initial thing, which I don't know if this is my whole year, but like I was thinking about for the month of January of I don't think I've talked about my healing era on the podcast, but
Ooh.
like post college, like I life was hard. Like it was just rough, like trying to transition from out of college into like who I was as a person. And like I thought I knew who I was, and then it was like just there were just a lot of trials and tribulations, you know? I was just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I still don't know. But like I kind of want to like go back to these seven deadly wounds and unpack a few things about myself, which I don't even know yet. Like I don't even know in ways that I've been hurt, in ways that like I've hurt other people, and I just kind of want to heal. And I don't know what that looks like because I don't even sometimes know what I need to heal from.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I want to do that and also like my junior year I did like I don't think I went every single day, but I did a lot of like adoration and prayer and journaling and all of that stuff and like I would really 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 love to like be more intentional about prayer and going to adoration because that has been like transformative for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, I feel like the more questions I ask Jesus, the more questions I have and the less answers. But like the amount of times that prayed for clarity within the past like months, like and have gotten clarity, I'm like, if I just simply asked more questions or like was intentional about my prayer life in that way, like I would just know so much. like I would just have so much peace, and that's where I really want to be.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I think that's one of my goals. But I need to like figure out how I'm going to do that and like logistically, because we know if we're reflecting on what we learned in this podcast, that it's very important to have smart goals and to think about where you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Maybe I'll write some prompts that I want to do and like reflect on. Who knows? But I feel like figuring out the logistics makes it seem a lot more attainable than just being like, oh, I want to be a better person. I want to heal from my past. And it makes it sound like I'm like over here like in pain. Like I'm not, but like there's always ways that you can work on yourself. And so like I want to do that more, I think.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, like my relationship with Jesus has really bloomed in the last couple months. I think through experiences of like pain and change and fear and needing to trust God when I don't really know what's going on, and praying for surrender. Like just so many things have happened in my life that God is so good and God has been so good to me. And so I want to like continue my relationship with God and like doing God's will. Um, which I don't really know until like I pray about it and like reflect on that. So I feel like prayer for me is definitely in the cards for 2025. I also just feel like, I don't know, 2025 is going to be full of some new experiences for me, and I'm like excited to learn and nervous to make mistakes, but also I feel like that's part of the journey. And like I don't even all know to the extent of like what that means, because I know even for like 2024 I didn't have like super concrete resolutions because I knew the year was going to be full of change, and like I don't really know what will come in 2025, but yeah, I feel like prayer will be the consistent number one, and learning from the new experiences I have.
Oh, I'm so excited for 2025.
Me too.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Like actually there's so much potential in everything. Like I feel like I'm always like that with everything every single year. I can't speak.
Every single year.
They do this every year.
I was gonna do that.
Anyway, I can't speak. Maybe that should be on my oh my gosh.
Girl.
New Year's resolutions is to learn how to speak better because I'm just having issues. Anyways, I feel like there's so much potential with not being in school anymore of like, where's it gonna take us?
Yeah, a lot
I
more
don't know.
freedom, more
Yeah.
opportunities.
More opportunities to be intentional about time.
Yeah,
So
which is cool.
that'll be really exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully you have thought about your New Year's resolutions, and if you haven't, this is our little plug to do some reflecting.
Yeah, and also I just would like make a little comment. You can literally start a resolution whenever the heck you want to. It doesn't have to be January 1st.
It could be today, January 2nd.
It could be like 2024 today.
What?
I'm just kidding. I was trying to say we were recording it in 2024.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But you can't go
We're
back. We're
talking in the future.
Yeah.
I know you're listening to this hopefully after January 2nd. But like even if like April comes around and you're like, wow, that resolution was not really good for me. I need some like that's like I'm going to scrap that. Like it's not too late.
Yeah.
Start then.
Adapt.
Change it up
Again. Anyways.
Okay. That's great. We love you all. Thanks for listening. Happy
Mhm.
2025.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.